Welcome to Conversation with Zaki Baruti, with your host, Zaki Baruti. And like always, I want to give a shout out to my biological family. What's happening? To the Universal African Peoples Organization family, what's going on? And to New Life Evangelistic Center family, headed by Reverend Rice. Keep up the great work. And a shout out to our cameraman, Bob, our amazing cameraman, Bob. On that note, we'll have another great show because in studio with me is a young lady who's been out here trying to make a difference in our society. And she's a member of the Green Party of St. Louis, and I'm speaking none other than Babara Chicherio. Welcome.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, okay, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good. Whenever I start my programs, I always want my audience, the thousands of people who are listening, to know a little bit of the background of the person that I'm interviewing. So wherever you want people to know about Babara Chicherio, would you please share?
Well, let's see. I've lived in St. Louis since about 1983. Came here to go to school and liked it so much I just stayed. I worked for...
At high school or college?
To college,
okay.
Yeah. I did my social work training at WashU is how I ended up here. And then I worked as a school social worker. Well, I was in mental health and then as a school social worker for over 25 years with special school district in St. Louis County. And for those years also very involved in all kinds of environmental work, things that had to do with environmental racism. And I guess two of the issues that have been consistently important to me is food, how our food is grown, and healthy food, and then the concerns with toxins in the environment.
First of all, then, when you mentioned you first got involved in environmental issues, what sparked your interest into the environmental concerns?
I was thinking that one of the first things the Greens worked on here in St. Louis was the Times Beach incinerator and the whole issue at Times Beach. I don't know if you remember that.
Kind of vaguely.
So that what happened at Times Beach was this man, Russell Bliss, who I don't think...
And Times Beach is in...
It's on the Merrimack River right outside of St. Louis.
Okay.
It was. It doesn't exist anymore. Russell Bliss was picking up waste oil, and he was going around and applying it, just big drums of this waste oil, on at farms, to keep dust down, like in corrals, where they had horses.
Right.
And then dusty streets, like Times Beach, Missouri. And they came to find out it was laced with dioxin, which is a persistent environmental toxin and one of those things that builds up in people's bodies. And people get cancer and get sick and die. And so they turned the whole town of Times Beach into a Superfund site. And EPA came in, and we were very opposed to
the EPA, just for our audience,
that's the Environmental Protection Agency. So we got into a big scuffle with the EPA and lost because they wanted to and did incinerate. I can't remember the amount, but all the dirt at Times Beach was dug up and burned in an incinerator in the floodplain, and we were very concerned because we felt like, well, that's just going to distribute through the air, which is what I think it did. So that was kind of one of our first big projects that we worked on. Now,
going back when I introduced you as a member of the St. Louis Green Party, Green Party of St. Louis, what is the thrust of the Green Party or the philosophical base of the Green Party?
Well, there's some differences of opinion there. So there's and every group is a little bit different, but I would say our group has consistently felt like our foundation was grassroots organizing and grassroots environmental work. And the issue of environmental racism has been very important to us over the years.
So that's been the main thrust.
That is our foundation. And then we also, we do, run people for office now and then, as you know. And, but we feel like the people that we want to run for office need to come out of our grassroots efforts. Now, there are Green parties in the United States that their entire focus is running people for office.
Okay,
that's
then.
Their big...
Around basically environmental issues, then, basically. Would that be the bottom line?
And social justice.
And social justice.
Right.
And in dealing with social justice issues, you had made mention one of your thrusts was environmental racism. What is environmental racism?
So environmental racism is, and the EPA has picked this up also, because they're putting a lot more effort into that. Certain communities of color or communities of low resources tend to bear a lot more of the environmental problems than more affluent areas. So we fought a medical waste. This was one time we won. We don't always win. This was several years ago. There was going to be a medical waste incinerator that was going to be put up in Creve Coeur, which is, a more wealthy,
predominantly white area.
people. They fought it because it's a problem. Medical waste has a lot of plastic in it, and when plastic is burned, you get a lot of dioxin and other kinds of problems. So they had a strong effort to stop it. So where do they want to put it? Forest Park Southeast. And so we picked up on that because this was a lower income area, more mixed with people of color. And actually the Hospital Association finally, but that was a real, there was a lot of community effort in that also, because people didn't want it in their neighborhood. And so, they're going to take it out of a wealthy white neighborhood and put it in an area where they didn't think they get much pushback, frankly. So that's an example of environmental racism.
Okay, then. My next question would be done on the other side of the break. Well, I have to have a quick break.
Do you have any idea how many people are having to sleep outside? Yes, viewers of the Zaki Baruti Show, you are being called into action at this time. Your help is urgently needed here at the New Life Evangelistic Center. Our teams are going out every day, and we need your prayers. We need your gifts here because we receive no city, state, or federal dollars. How many times I have to personally run to the store in order to just buy meat and bread? People could be making sandwiches and bringing them to the doors here at 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri. They could be buying cases of water and bringing them here so we can get these out to the homeless people. 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri. They could write out those checks and send them in because we have to buy this. They're depending upon us. And not only that, they get bus tickets, hundreds and even thousands of bus tickets distributed to so many people that need transportation assistance. We can't do it without each and every one of you. It's New Life Evangelistic Center. P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri. That's 63166. You can give online at nlecstl.org. Your prayers are urgently needed at this time. Come on, and you watch the Zaki Baruti Show. You hear about the various issues. Now it's important that we respond to those issues by helping so many people that have fallen through the safety nets in spite of the promises of the politicians. So many people are hurting right now. They're out there. They don't know where to go. What are they doing? I don't see hardly anything in St. Louis County, Jefferson County, St. Francis County. I can mention county after county, Madison County, St. Clair County. They want to ship them to St. Louis. St. Louis can't take care of all the problems. But we got to get all these other counties involved. In the meantime, we got to get your church involved. We need you. I've got a book I've written that if you'd like a copy of that, it's called The Case for Compassion. We'll be happy to share that with you if you request it. When you send in your gift to New Life Evangelistic Center, P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri, that's 63166. You can give online at nlecstl.org. It's called The Case for Compassion, citing over 2,000 Bible verses that are used throughout the Scriptures, and yet we don't hear about this. I preach like we should. You can get a copy for your minister. But let's get our churches involved. Let's reach out. Let's help those that Jesus referred to. The least of these, after you've done to them, you've done it unto him. Let's help them right now. Please get involved. Call us at 314-421-3020 or share that much-needed gift at P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri. That's 63166. You can give online at nlecstl.org.
Welcome back to Conversation with Zaki Baruti. In studio with me is Babara Chicherio. She's a member of the St. Louis Green Party. And we're talking about environmental racism and other kinds of issues, basically environmental issues that the Green Party is involved in. And currently, the Green Party is involved in an issue called HOPS.
Healthy outdoor parks and public spaces. So
repeat that again. That's healthy
outdoor parks and public spaces.
Okay.
So the HOPS bill is, the Green Party is part of what's called the No Spray Coalition. And the HOPS bill basically is telling St. Louis City, we want you to stop using pesticides and herbicides in the city parks.
Oh, okay then. Now, what is the No Spray Coalition?
So it's a very loose group of people that have been working on this issue for 3 years. We've got endorsements from Missouri Coalition for the Environment, Sierra Club, their Eastern chapter here in this area, and a couple other groups that we've come together. And do you want me to give you a little background on how we kind of got started into this? So I have a very close friend, Erin. You've met Erin O'Reilly, and she's a public health nurse. She was walking in one of the city, she walks every morning, and noticed these big yellow circles around trees of dead grass. And she said it kind of smelled funny. So another time when she was walking, she stopped somebody that was working in the park that was spraying this, and he said, yeah, this is Roundup. And so a group of us got very concerned about the use of herbicides and pesticides in parks, partly because who goes to parks? Children. And children are the most affected by coming into contact with these toxins. Glyphosate is the main ingredient in Roundup, and we know for certain that that causes cancers like non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And you've probably heard there's been a lot of lawsuits, litigation around that particular chemical. And I also want to say children carry a heavier load when they're exposed because they're littler. You know, they have less body weight. They're closer to the ground. They roll on the ground. Young kids put their hands in their mouth. So we, No Spray Coalition, think it's a real problem to be spraying these toxins in city parks.
Okay, then, so part of the spraying, you mentioned Roundup, right? Mm-hmm. Now, Roundup have had a series of lawsuits against it for that causing...
For the glyphosate. And, you know, one of the people, I always have to look at my numbers. You know, in 2018, Bayer, B-A-Y-E-R, bought Monsanto.
Right. And so Roundup was a product of Monsanto.
Right.
Am I correct? Okay.
That's right. And so, let's see. They've literally spent, I can't find my notes, about $13 billion that they've paid out in settlements for people that have been sickened that have come up with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And they also are now finding that there's a scientific evidence. It's not conclusive at this point, but they're looking at Parkinson's disease too.
Okay, and in our community, I know our organization did a special edition of our newspaper looking at health issues impacting Black people. Mm-hmm. All of the types of diseases were disproportionately higher in the Black community than the white community. So you're saying then that the city has been spraying these parks that our children go to with pesticides that's very toxic. Yeah. So what kind of what process have the Green Party been engaging in to bring this to the attention of the decision makers at City Hall as well as the public?
We've spent 2 years writing and rewriting 13 versions from the original a bill, and it's called the HOPS Bill, Healthy Outdoor Parks and Public Spaces. We've had a lot of trouble. We have currently, well, I want to go back. Jesse Todd actually introduced it to committee for us.
And Jesse Todd is a former alderperson in St. Louis.
Right, before he retired.
Right.
It never made it out of committee.
Okay.
So we've been going around, we've been doing a variety of things, but we've been going around talking to alders. And we have 3 alder people at the present time, Rasheen Aldridge, Velazquez, and who's the third?
A third one. We just said
anyway, we got 3 that are on board. All 3 of them have told us, we like this, we'd like to do it. We can't go forward until you get an agreement with the Parks Department, a buy-in from the Parks Department. Because they said, even if we get it through the Board of Aldermen, and the Parks Department said, they just, stonewall and don't do it. There's not a lot we can do. We need to get their buy-in. So we've been trying to work with the Parks Department too.
But let me interject here. So are you saying to me then that the aldermen, if they pass a bill, say we want to ban those products, that they have to still go through the...
This is what we're told. I mean, that's what I thought, well, who's in charge here? But they're saying there's not a lot that they can do to punish or to force the Parks Department to do it. Makes no sense to me. We're not giving up. I mean, we're continuing, and actually we're looking at this, the elections coming up, and we're interviewing candidates for these aldermanic seats and we've gotten some good feedback from people. One of the reasons I wanted to be here today is we're really working just to get the word out to individuals, that live in the city that we're pursuing this.
Well, let me ask this question. So, have you reached out to the churches and other folks?
We're starting to do that. I went to the Congregational United group here in St. Louis that has an environmental justice committee. I just went to a meeting with them and met a neuroscientist who's really interested in this. But that, I think, is absolutely the right way to go, is to go through the churches in the city.
Right. And then the last question on that, which I ask on the other side of the break, because we got to do another break.
Behind me is the New Life Evangelistic Center administrative offices in Overland, Missouri. And this is where we shoot our shows for our worship shows and the Here's Help Network. And it's also where Zaki Baruti and Bernie Hayes shoot their shows. You can find all of these shows at the New Life Evangelistic Center app, the NLEC TV app. You can also access them on your tablet or on your computer. And this is how you can stay up to date with all the things that New Life Evangelistic Center is doing. There are so many different programs that we've got going on, and God is doing many exciting things through partners like you. So if you want to support the work that New Life is doing, then please access and give through the app. You can go online at nlecstl.org or give us a call at 314-421-3020. Again, 314-421-3020. But this is the best way to get plugged into the amazing work that New Life is doing through people like you. And so there is something for you to get involved in today. And we are so thankful for our partners. Only through the grace of God and your gift are we able to bless others today.
Do you find yourself being paralyzed by fear? Then pick up and read the Soldier Psalm, Psalm 91. So many have taken this psalm into battle, experiencing God as their refuge and strength, experiencing His hope, His help in time of need. Read Psalm 91, meditate on it, and let the power of God begin to work in your life during these very troubled times. Yes, there is truly hope. Christ is risen. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Let His word work in your life today.
Welcome back to Conversation with Zaki Baruti. In studio with me is Babara Chicherio. She's a fighter against environmental racism, and we're looking at the issue that the city is spraying many of our public parks with toxic material that can impact our children and even adults. So with that said, Barb, on the other side of the break, I was going to ask you, so have your coalition or the Green Party reached out to the top elected officials in the city, the mayor, the controller, the board?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not
okay,
yet.
Then. So I would encourage you to do so.
Okay.
Off air, you were sharing with us, with myself, that is, a personal story that kind of give credence to why you're so involved in this
So as
campaign.
a school social worker, children are just most of us love children, not everybody, but most of us love children. And 25, 30 years ago when I started working for I worked for Special School District, we would have a handful of these students that they weren't as, the old idea of autism. The autistic kids were really involved. They had no language. They were pretty much wrapped up in their own internal world. They didn't really socialize with others. They were extreme. That was autism. So then we'd start seeing these kids that were like, they had an inability to like plan or to control their emotions. And it was kind of like they were autistic, but they were verbal. And so now the diagnosis of autism has expanded to this thing they call a spectrum, an autism spectrum. So it's like light autism, I guess. So when I first started working, I'd see a few of these kids that had really issues with social skills. They had a diminished ability to cope. They had few coping skills. What's happened over the years, there were more and more and more of these kids. And I was talking to a friend of mine who's actually an educator, and she said, Barb, there are so many kids that are just, it's not so extreme that they're getting special services, but they've just got some diminished neurological issues.
Right.
And she said there's so many of them now that, in classrooms. It's my belief that there's this effect, they're exposed in so many different ways to different toxins in the food, in the air, in the environment. They call it a synergistic effect,
Right.
That I think we're seeing some neurological decline.
Based on the environment, bottom line, as you were just saying, including, I know there was issues around lead poisoning.
Yes, that's another exposure.
Okay, then.
So it's my belief, anywhere we can, we need to decrease the amount of this stuff going out into the environment.
Okay. Now, changing from the environment, just recently, the Green Party supported the Universal African Peoples Organization effort to bring books into the school systems, and most recently, our organization, Universal, with the financial support of the Green Party, was able to donate free copies of the book by Sister Soldier, which was the coldest winter ever. And you were a participant at that program. Give an overall scenario of what was your experience like at a predominantly black high school,
Right.
Normandy High School in the St. Louis region.
I was blown away. It was a beautiful program. There were a lot of different aspects to the program, but I think the thing that stood out in my mind, because I've spent a lot of time in schools, and even seniors, you get them together, they can be a little rambunctious. The audience was so engaged. And, through the whole thing. And it was long. How long was it, Zaki?
About 45 minutes.
Right. They remained engaged. And I liked it that you had a lot of different things going on. There was a band. Coffee did a beautiful poem. Speakers. And I felt like the students really got, I think, I came away from it feeling like they really felt genuinely appreciated, not superficially, genuinely appreciated.
Well, again, we just want to publicly thank the Green Party for their support. We're going to take our last break.
Since 1972, New Life Evangelistic Center has been on the front lines, reaching out, helping the hurting, the homeless, the fatherless, the widowed throughout mid-America. Yes, although it's had its roots in St. Louis, it now has expanded throughout mid-America into India and Africa, Haiti, and other places around the world. Oh, what a history New Life Evangelistic Center has. And we have many of these history books available to you, and they're right there on Amazon. And if we can help you get one of those, you contact us at 314-421-3020. But in addition to all that, we want to share a lot of that history with you right here as we take a look at how the work began and how the Lord has taken us throughout the years and the miracles that we have seen, all because of caring people like you. You're part of the history of the New Life Evangelistic Center. And we're believing that 2025 is the year that the center is going to become alive and seeing the Lord do exceedingly beyond we can even ask or think. We're on the verge of miracles. Yes, New Life Evangelistic Center has a rich history, but there's much more yet to come. And that's why I'm inviting you to familiarize yourself with the history of the past and be a part of the miracles of the present. Yes, let the Lord God Almighty work in you and through you. Let him do exceedingly beyond what you can ask or think. He's got a purpose for you. And we want you to be able to live out that purpose as you get directly involved in the history of New Life Evangelistic Center and what the Lord is doing now.
God loves a cheerful giver. Even though things are really tough right now, you can make a difference in the lives of so many. New Life has been doing this work for 50 years, and we have seen God's gracious goodness through people like you who have participated in this work. There are so many people who are suffering. More people are becoming homeless for the first time with the rising costs of inflation and food and housing and so many other commodities. We need help. You can make a difference today in the lives of so many by giving your tax-deductible gift to P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri. Or go to newlifeevangelisticcenter.org or call to get involved in this incredible work.
Welcome back to Conversation with Zaki Baruti. We only have a few minutes left with Babara Chicherio. A real heavy issue going on right now nationally is around eggs. And I'd be liking eggs.
I know. I like eggs too. And the egg prices have gone through the ceiling. The thing I want people to understand is, yes, it's horrible that we're paying so much for eggs. But I really think that this is an opportunity for all of us to look at how our food is raised. And the reason that this flu has taken off the way it has is because...
And when you say the flu, you're talking about the regular flu?
No, I'm sorry, H5N1, avian flu. The reason it's taken off is because these birds, these chickens, thousands and thousands of them are pushed into very small areas. And once the virus gets in, it just devastates huge flocks of birds. And if we were growing birds, as I think we should, they would be in smaller, there'd be smaller flocks, there'd be more control. But I think it's a real time to step back and look at the way our food is raised.
Okay,
these factory farms are a nightmare.
Oh, yeah. And they take away from the small farmers.
And I could come back and talk more about that.
All right. We have an open invitation for that. Now, to come back. Now, if anybody is interested or want to find more information about the St. Louis Green Party or the coalition around
No Spray Coalition.
No Spray, how would they get in contact with you?
Well, I think our website, the Greens website, is up. But you can call me personally, yeah.
And how would they, what number?
314-308-6899. Give me a call. I'd love to talk to people about all of this.
Okay, again, get the number slowly.
314-308-6899.
And what's the website?
The website is www.gateway-greens.org.
Okay, then. My last question is, on a national level, you see the greatest president of the United States making a lot of moves. What would be your word in response to this new administration? What would you encourage people to do?
It's so big. I would encourage people, I just heard that there is a movement now across the United States called, I don't have the information, it's called Indivisible. Like the Pledge of Allegiance, just the word indivisible. And I haven't done it yet. I had a friend call me and she said, you need to Google that because they're organizing in local communities.
Against some of the Trump policies, basically?
Yes.
Okay, then.
I just talked to her before I went to bed last night. I think people are just starting to get themselves together to push back,
All right, then. So on that note, I just want to thank you for being in the studio with me,
Thank
Sharon.
you, Zaki.
And again, to the audience, as I close out, like always, there's elections that's coming forward. We always say know the issues, but also more importantly, get out and vote. And we also encourage everybody to belong to an organization that has a track record of speaking truth to power and working to uplift humanity. And to that end, we say, join the Universal African Peoples Organization. On that note, may God bless each and every one of you.